all of this. Do you see all of this, guys? I'm pretty ashamed to say that all of this is things that I have collected from Dollar Tree with every intention of DIYing in some way, because I get these great ideas while I'm in the store and then I bring them home and they pile up and I never do any of it.
Well, hello everyone. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Emily, and today we are crafting with everything Dollar Tree products. So this is kind of like a start of a series almost. Like most of my crafts usually are from Dollar Tree or thrifted, but I have so many Dollar Tree finds that I have great ideas to dupe something nicer that I saw somewhere else, that this is truly all Dollar Tree. So today's theme is all about frames. These are all frames that I have gotten at Dollar Tree. None of them were thrifted, but they are all inspired by either vintage antique looking or high-end dupes. So if that's your kind of thing, then continue watching. Thank you all so much for being here. I'd really appreciate if you like, subscribe, and leave a comment on which one is your favorite at the end. I think I know which one my favorite is. I keep on going back and forth. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Let's get into the video.
All right, so this first one is simply taking these 3 vintage inspired frames from the Dollar Tree. I found all of them at 3 different times. I think the white one from around Mother's Day and the other 2 were, I think, around New Year's. I don't remember. But anyway, all 3 of them are definitely from Dollar Tree and they look great as is, but I know I could make them a little bit better. So the first step was to paint them black. So the black undertone of this gives it more of an antiqued finish. And so that's why I always start with black. It doesn't really matter what color of black you use. I have literally chalkboard paint that I've just been using because it's what I've got. So that's the first step. And then of course the second step is rub and buff. If you've been here for a while, you know that I love rub and buff. But if not, the color that I'm using right now is antique gold. I'll have it linked down below, but it is the best stuff. A tiny tube takes you a long way. Matter of fact, I finally replaced my tube after who knows how long. So for the inside of the frames, I actually found a 10-piece vintage canvas art prints on Shein, and they have lots of different options. So I've bought many of these many times before, and they literally are on canvas material. So that's what makes them so much better than just printing them online. But of course, I can make them even better. And all you'll need is some Mod Podge. Of course, if you have the glossy Mod Podge, that works better, but all I had was matte. So we're just going with what we got. And all you need to do is paint over the canvas print. So what this does is just give it a real oil painting look by giving it some dimension and texture. I am not an artist by far, so you don't have to be like super good at painting or anything to do this. You just kind of guess which way the stroke marks would go, and that's what I did. So as you can see, it just gave it a little bit of a sheen. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. The hardest part about this was actually figuring out how I wanted to set up my little collage on my wall, and I ended up literally just kind of winging it. I could not figure it out. I even chat GPT'd this. I couldn't get it, but I hung it all up there.
So speaking of hanging things on the wall, these things, I was a little nervous about these 2 pictures because they're pretty heavy, but these things only are essentially push pins, but they're a little bit longer and they're supposed to hold a whole bunch of weight. So I'll link down to these down below if you're gonna hang things on the wall, because I don't trust command hooks when it comes to breakable items.
The pros to this is that it's sturdier than obviously just a regular push pin, but not the commitment of a big giant hole. So I'll just need a little bit of spackling and some touch-up paint and it'll be fine. All right, so then for the next inspiration, I wanted these little fridge magnets to do a nice collage on my fridge as well, but thrifting teeny tiny frames is very hard. So whenever I found these small frames in a 4-pack from Dollar Tree and these stick-on embellishments, I had an idea, and so I was gonna see if it could work. Obviously, all I did was add the embellishments to the wood frame. I ended up putting a lot more on one than I did the other, just to see if I liked more of a minimalistic look rather than way more texture, but I ended up liking the more appliques, the better. So, but you do you. Anyway, so it's the same process. I painted it black for that vintage undertone and then rub and buffed it. And I don't think this is as nice as like an authentic thrifted frame or whatever, but if you're like me and you're just impatient but you really want it, this is at least a way to give it a try. So it turned out better than I thought it was. It's not my favorite, but it turned out better than I thought. If anything, it's a really cute way to display some family photos. So I just printed off some photos of my husband and I and my kids just on my printer, nothing fancy, taped them onto the back. And then I had these magnets. I don't actually know where I got those magnets, but you can buy magnets at Dollar Tree. But I had some on hand, so I used those and just stuck it to the back. Like I said, it turned out better than I thought, but not as good as a regular vintage frame. The only one I've been able to find at the thrift store is the one on the very right. Fun fact, the one in the middle actually is a Dollar Tree frame. So this next craft is more of a solution to a problem more than anything. It's whenever I use my cookbooks, they never stay open. As much as I would love to thrift a normal book stand, I can't find one yet, so I'll make one until I do. So what I did is I grabbed an easel from Dollar Tree and one of those wooden frames, and then I used my rotary tool to just cut off the bottom section of that wooden frame. I sanded it down a little bit, and then I used floral wire, again, because we're using what we have, to fasten this part of the wooden frame to the very front. And then I decided to do the same process to fasten the rest of the frame to the back. And then, yep, you guessed it. We painted it black and then rub and buffed it. And apparently this is my favorite solution. I was trying not to do this to every single frame, but I ended up doing it to a lot. This, like I said, was more of a solution to a problem until I can find a really nice one. And it looks better than I was expecting. Again, not my favorite, but it solves a problem. And so if you want to try it, go for it. This next find was the best thing that Dollar Tree has ever sold. They need to do more of this, but it's an Anthropologie mirror dupe. So these are actually really popular now. Even Walmart sells a version, but I knew I could make these even a little bit better to make them look more expensive than $1.25. So the biggest issue that I saw with them is that they didn't quite look finished. So I got lucky that the gold or antique gold rub and buff matched what was already on there perfectly. So all I had to do is finish out the look, because for some reason they just did it on the front and not the side. So you can kind of tell there the one on the left is unfinished, the one on the right is. And so it just kind of made it look a little bit better. So for one of the frames, I went ahead and just popped the mirror right back in. But for the other one, I found this perfect floral design, again on Shein, and did the same process that I did with those other pictures, used the Mod Podge over it. I found out the more gloopy the Mod Podge was, the better it turned out. So don't be afraid to use too much on this. But the bad thing about these frames is that they didn't come with a stand at all. So all I had to do is just pop one off of a frame that I knew was going to hang and not stand up. If I popped that up off of one, I could easily hot glue it onto the back of another. And these turned out beautifully. Like, I think this is maybe my favorite one. I don't know. What do you guys think? But the oil painting in that one, and then I can use this one as an actual mirror in my bedroom. I just think they're so perfect. Our next Dollar Tree picture frame is this mirror right here. And the fluted texture on it just gave me wood vibes, not black plastic. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Here's some of my inspiration. And all I had to do to make it look wood is first paint it with a chestnut color. This is from the Waverly chalk paints. This is one of my favorite paints, my favorite methods to make anything look wood. With the chestnut, we also use the antiquing wax and just dry brush that on top of it. What's great about this is that it's very forgiving. If you get too much, I just have one of my husband's old t-shirts that I wipe off the excess with. But the more streaky the wax looks, the more it looks like wood. So that's why I use one of my cheaper paint brushes, and it works perfectly. I've done this on many different things, and so I really liked how this turned out as well. It too did not have a stand on the back. So again, we just popped one off of a picture frame that we weren't going to prop up and hot glued it to the back. I found this picture online. I think this sketch just looks really good with the wood frame, and this is how it turned out. So the next one is a magnolia antique brass framed pressed flower. It immediately made me think of this round frame that you can get at Dollar Tree. I also paired it with some pressed flower stickers that I got off of Shein. I mean, they are just stickers, they're just printed on there, but from a distance you'd never know. And matter of fact, you might not know unless you follow me on YouTube. Now to take this a step further, I wish I would rub and buffed this one as well, but I think you guys are tired of seeing me rub and buff things, so I didn't. I hung it up in the window of my bathroom, so just so you guys could see how it turned out, I did move it to the wall because it was kind of hard to see in the window. But I think it looks a little bit more high-end than just a Dollar Tree thing. You would have never known that it was $1.25 plus some stickers. The next frame I found at Dollar Tree comes in two different sizes, a 5x7 and a 4x6 size. I'm using this picture in a combination of the viral Michael's ghost painting as my inspiration for this one. So of course, the first thing I do is rub and buff it. You guys, how many times have I said rub and buff in this video? I don't know. Give me a guess down below. Anyway, but once I did that, I then took the backing of the picture frames and just painted them solid black. Next, I cut out a just like half oval out of a just piece of plastic that I was going to throw away and use some spackling to make that ghost. Now, my spackling, I didn't know, was almost dried out. So if you're going to do this, maybe go get some new spackling. But we've had this bucket for quite a while. It still turned out just fine. It just took a little bit more effort to shape the ghost the exact way, and I did have to touch up the paint around there just a little bit to cover up some of the spackling that got all over the place. But it was fine. It turned out fine. And I had the paint out anyway to paint on the little eyes. And the Michael's photo doesn't have a whole mouth hole, but I just felt like they were missing one, so I went ahead and put one. I think this one is definitely my second favorite one. Some good spooky decor for the fall. But if you didn't use the backing for the ghost, you could always use it for other seasons like Christmas. This one might have been up there since last year, but it's fine. We won't talk about that. So the next dupe that we're going to make is these brass rail picture frames from Magnolia. You can literally use any frame that you want because you end up spray painting them anyway, but these are the two that I picked out. I didn't realize that the black like mat to this was attached to the frame, so I did have to tape that off, but if not, you can skip this step. But I ended up embracing the black. I kind of liked it in the end. You could maybe leave it the same gold color if you got two gold ones like I did, but I just kind of spray painted it just so that I could get the rail to match as well. The rail that I bought was this $3 one from Walmart. I spray painted it to be the same color, and then I also used some plant hanging chain from the Dollar Tree to use as the chain links in between. So this one is nice because it's adjustable. You can just really easily unlink them. I spray painted those to be the exact same color as the rest of it. Next, just figure out how long you want the chain to be. I made it a little too long at first, but it's not a big deal because you can link them back together after you unlink them. So I ended up making them only about 4 links in between the picture and the rail, and then also between the bottom picture and the top picture. Anyway, I used, again, the canvas print, the butterfly one for the upper picture, and then this lower picture, I decided to use some spare scrapbook paper that I had on hand. After that, it's just a matter of hot gluing the chains to the back of the picture frame. I did use some obnoxious bright red duct tape just to give me a peace of mind that it was for sure going to hold. I'm pretty sure that hot glue will hold just fine, but like I said, I just wanted a peace of mind just in case so it doesn't come crashing down in the middle of the night and scare the crap out of me. And then the very end of the chain was like a little place that you could hook it onto the hanging plant basket, and that piece fits perfectly over the rod that I picked out. Now I want to hang this up in the master bathroom, but we're still working on it, so I just put it on these hooks so you can get an idea of it, but I will hang it up once it's finished. So the next frame is these beaded wooden frames. They gave me definitely some Magnolia vibes. Like I'm pretty sure I have seen this on Magnolia's website. I just cannot find them now. And the update to these were super simple because the really light wood was not quite the vibes that I was going for, so I just used antiquing wax to give it a darker tone and used the old t-shirt to wipe it off. But it worked really well for the bigger frame, not as well for the smaller frame, because the smaller frame is not actually made out of the same material as the bigger frame. It's more of a plastic printed wood than it is the actual wood color. So I just had to be a little bit more careful with how I dabbed that on there or stroke it on there, but it worked out in the end. Then again, I used one of the printed canvases from Shein, and this is how they turned out. I think I really like these as well. And this last one is just for fun. So that wooden frame that I made earlier came in a 4-pack, and they were giving me this vibe. Can you guess what I'm making? I bet you can. If you said friends, then we can be friends now. Anyway, this one was just for fun.
I think these might be my favorite. Not everything has to be aesthetic, but I'm a big Friends fan, so I couldn't resist but doing this whenever I thought of it. Anyway, so comment again. What do you think I should do with them? Should I make them into magnets? I kind of want to put it in my car. Like, my house is where everything is more aesthetic, and then my car is where I get to be like more of a nerd. So maybe, do you have an idea of what I could do with this in my car? You know, I have 2, so I might give another one to my bestie. And then we have matching car frames. I don't know what to do with them though. But anyway, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Stick around because I've got more Dollar Tree craft videos coming up. The next one is going to be themed with trays or with fall, whichever one I feel like getting done first. I do have a lot of fall decorations or things from Dollar Tree that I'm excited to DIY and make them look better. So I'm super excited for that. And I also have a lot of thrifting videos coming up. So yeah, definitely want to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can get a notification, because I'm trying to post daily, at least a short daily. You might just get one full long video once a week. I don't know. I'm still new to this. I'm trying to figure this out and figure out my rhythm, but I'm having fun with it. So thank you guys for being here. I'll see y'all next time.